Hello, minions! It is I, the man on the internet. You know, some people just don't like playing games or watching movies or any number of activities. And you know what? That's fine, because the easy solution is to just not do those things. And then there are the people who show up to an activity that they seemingly want to do absolutely nothing at. I've been to some of those before, and they are maddening. Today's maddening tale is about yet another instance of the I will show up, but you want me to act in a game about acting and doing things? That's a tall order there, buddy. While everyone else has to drag them along, like a group activity from hell, where two girls want to listen to and sing out loud the lyrics of Move Bitch by Ludacris, while all the rest of us have to save their damn grade by dissecting a pig. This is a true story. I hate group projects. Today's RPG horror story is called Player Keeps Wandering Off, Insulting Our Characters, and Goes Out of His Way to Not Interact with the Party by Disastrous Sapphire. Because of this being an ongoing campaign, I'm going to try to keep things as vague as I can when it comes to people's identities. It's hard to say whether this person is a problem player or if we just have different playing styles, so I'll leave the jury of Reddit to decide on that. The player in question that I'll call David. Fucking hell! Why are all the problem players named Dave? What's your problem, Daves of the world? Plays D&D in a way that's confusing to me. I've been in a few campaigns with him, and every single time, he creates characters that are distant from the party. Yes, I know, this is a typical loner wolf playstyle, where the person eventually warms up to the others in their party. But while that is what typically ends up happening, it feels as if David only travels with us for plot convenience. The best way I can explain is to give a few details. David's character doesn't appear to trust or like our characters, but they usually come along anyways because we have the same goal in mind. But after that first interaction, he always starts going off on his own. If our party is investigating the inside of a house, David will make it known that his character isn't interested and is bored. When the DM confirms that they're just going to stand there, David will then go outside of the house to explore the shed or fencing for unspecified reasons. If we go shopping in a town, David's never interested in shopping, and when he is, it's never where the group wants to go. And instead of telling us where they want to go, they will just leave without saying a word. It could have been a shop that we all planned to visit on our to-do list, but David skips ahead of everything we've agreed to as a group and just goes on their own. One time we were leaving a town. While doing some last-minute preparations, David describes how his character, who didn't see anything worth doing, separates from us and goes and sits underneath a tree to relax, taking a nap. When the DM asks what he's doing, David says that someone in the group will find him, eventually. One of the players points out that he didn't tell us where he was going, and that none of us were going to want to waste our time searching the town for him, when we all agreed to meet up at a specific location and time. Sometimes David will come and find us. Other times he'll shrug it off and just keep waiting on us to find him. For the most part, during roleplay, if he's around, David stays silent unless he's saying something out of character to insult us or our plans, but never does anything in character to give their opinion or help in any way. He makes it clear he's only going along with us because that's what the majority agreed upon. When we ask his opinion, he'll normally blow it off, saying that he really can't think of what to say right now, or, if we're planning, that he doesn't have any ideas of his own. This isn't to say that David doesn't roleplay, he does, but whenever he does do it, he always seems exasperated with our characters, like, whatever we're doing or talking about is pointless. And it's not of a lack of interest. He makes detailed characters and seems excited to play D&D in our group chats. But it's like when we start playing, all that enthusiasm turns into pessimism, and the only time he really lets his character's personality shine is during one-on-one role-playing with the DM in moments his character is separated from us. But any group efforts are met with silence, demeaning comments, and sarcasm. There are some times he wanders off and it seems like he's trying to get another character to follow him, because he blatantly asks if anyone is going to try to follow him to see where he's going, or will interrupt us to ask if anyone's going to check up on him. So it's hard to tell if he wants to do things on his own or if he wants people to join him. If it wasn't for him constantly talking about new character ideas, his excitement for the next session, and his love of telling anyone who might have missed the session what happened, I would assume he was in the game for no real reason. He genuinely seems to love D&D. Before anyone wants to throw DM on a cross and light it on fire, no. Our DM has not been silent about this. Many times they've been asked to communicate more with the group when they wander off on their own, and the DM has tried to encourage them to roleplay more during moments where making plans that they keep belittling out of character, to which he has been told is not respectful of his party members. At one point, when he did his little thing where he's wandered off right before we're supposed to leave an area, and says he's waiting for someone to come get him, the DM flat out told him no. This was mostly because our characters were on a time limit, and he had went so far away from us it would have taken us an in-game hour to bring him back, assuming that our characters managed to find him right away since our ranger would have had to track him again, because he, again, didn't tell anyone where he was going. Our DM explained that if his character waited around for us to find him, it was going to hinder his party, and no one was going to be happy with this. David relented and eventually came to us. Reluctantly, I might add. But sometimes this attitude can also drift into combat. Sometimes David will refuse to fight the first couple of rounds because the situation doesn't involve him. This could be because we're facing a big bad from someone's backstory, or one of the people in the party went and angered a goblin that now wants to impale them on a stick. This happens often because David will wander away from the party and will either keep doing whatever he went off to do on his turns, or will stay out of initiative completely. This can sometimes throw the balance of the game off when it's planned encounters by the DM. The only time he can get him to help us is if we ask both in and out of character, which eats up time and bogs the game down, as he will argue that his character has no motive in this battle. And a lot of times in the middle of battle, he'll let in on how the situations we're in are because, insert character here, did a dumb, and that he can't believe our characters are jumping into trouble to save someone else who made a poor choice. DM, the other players, and myself can't seem to figure David out. He hasn't been kicked from our group because, in our eyes, none of these are kickable offenses, and seem like minor issues that can be fixed. But they're issues that David might acknowledge one session and change his character's actions, but only for that session, because the next, he's back to separating himself or not helping during combat. There isn't any hostility behind it, not even when he's insulting our characters. It almost feels like he's wanting to roleplay in a specific way, like those cheesy moments in anime when a character goes off and another character chases after them. Then they have this big confession of feelings or something. But whenever a character does go after him, David just says he follows them, or doesn't really interact with them. And the little interactions he does do on his own aren't like he has main character syndrome. He does mundane things that don't require a lot of detail. It's hard to figure him out, and when he has been questioned about it, he doesn't really give a lot of answers other than it's what his character would do, because they're the loner type. I've met 4 of his characters so far, and they all do the exact same thing. One of them he had switched out because everyone disliked the loner attitude of this random person we just met, constantly wandering off, and he brought in a new character. Only for that character to wander off and seem uninterested in whatever the party is doing, but never voicing it. The only main difference was this character was less moody than the last, and didn't wander off as far, but always made a habit to never explore areas. This character would always stand outside and just wait for us to return. It wasn't as if they were keeping watch. A lot of times he'd expect random objects, or when the DM asked what he wanted to do, he would say that his character was just waiting on us. Sometimes often making comments about how his character viewed us going into dangerous places as stupid or pointless, even if the place wasn't dangerous. If this character was played as a coward, I'd understand, but this was never explained or broadened beyond insults. And it's never said in character, always out of character. When we do finally say enough and break character to ask him what he wants to do, he shrugs it off and says he doesn't have anything planned. We can keep going. he's just milling about due to not having an opinion, or any attachments that make him interested in our goals. And then 5 minutes later, he will then tell the DM he's going outside, or going into town to check out the shops. We ask him what we can do to make him more involved, but he tells us his characters wouldn't have any reason to be interested in what we're doing, or that his character doesn't trust us enough to really get involved. We've tried pulling his character into role-playing scenes, and he'll usually give a single answer or say that his character is blatantly ignoring us, until they, once again, decide to wander off. It's tiring, and I'm at my wit's end because I have no idea what to do. None of our players do, or the DM. Any attempts to involve him in or out of character have been met with boredom or rejection. We ask him if he's having fun, and he talks about D&D as if it's the highlight of his week. At this point, I'm confused and can't tell if he's a problem player, or if maybe he just doesn't fit in with our group styles. However, we do have a group of people with widely different styles. We have the role players, the power gamers, the battle lovers, the meme builders, and we all manage to respect and play with each other very well. I'll tell you what playstyle you're dealing with. You've got David, who's super excited about his character, but his character's just an asshole who insults you all the time, is brooding and lonely and doesn't talk, and wants to make it known how cool and aloof he is. You're dealing with an edgelord. See, there are ways to play dark and troubled and grim without being an asshole who drags down everyone around you, but that's just too much effort for edgelords like David here. You ask me, you haven't been hardball enough with him. Sure, he says that D&D is the highlight of his week. I can also say that mosquitoes are God's gift to mankind. They're not, but that's the beauty of language. You can say anything even if you don't really believe in what you're saying. He's done nothing to address all the issues you've brought up that are dragging down the game. Hell, he's basically done nothing, and that's the major problem. He just wants to continue to sit there and do absolutely nothing. In a just world, if someone is doing nothing on your group project, or if they're actively sabotaging communication by screaming "move bitch" by Ludicrous at the top of their lungs, then you can just talk to the teacher or arbiter of the rules and say, hey listen, this person did 0 work. They should get 0 of the reward. He doesn't want to fight the goblin, he doesn't get the goblin's experience points. He doesn't want to explore the dungeon, he doesn't get the dungeon's loot. He wants to be a little shit, ignoring everyone and everything around him. The world's going to ignore him then. See if that makes him really want to participate. And if that doesn't solve anything, well, fuck it. You've explained what the problem is, and he's basically shrugged and said, I don't care, I'm going to keep doing it. Kick him the fuck out. If an edgelord's been informed of the problem and they actively make an effort not to change, why bother? Get that shit out of your life. You'll be having much better games. Hell, maybe you'll be as excited as David here pretends to be. And with that, I wish you a very edgelord-free life, under the thumb of your glorious supervillain overlord and his earthquake machine. May you be blessed with not sinking into the earth to feed the troglodytes. Toodles!